In the Lost Lands comes out this week. In the Lost Lands is a 2025 epic fantasy film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, starring Milla Jovovich and Dave Bautista, based on a short story by George R.R. Martin about a witch and a hunter who journey into a dangerous landscape to find an artifact for a queen. The trailer looked kinda cool. I like the action, the costumes, and the world design. And of course they're gonna make Milla a tough character that just kinda kicks butt. It's the only roles that she takes. With an estimated $50 million budget and a predicted total worldwide box office gross of only $20 million, is this movie gonna flop hard? It might need very good word of mouth to be successful. Early reviews for the movie are out. Let's take a look at what the audience members are saying about In the Lost Lands. Shane writes, the movie is stuffed with bland characters and nonsensical plotting, with only Bautista's character offering any meaning or feeling. The design and vision of the film are quite epic and stellar, but the cheap looking effects diminish them too. The bonkers action and world building are the only real props to keep this fantasy action flick entertaining. Shane gives the movie 2 out of 5 stars. Robert writes, this is more of a 2005 film than a 2025 film, except it's a bit crisper looking, and instead of 2 people on a green screen, it's probably 2 people in front of an LED screen. It really did feel like a bunch of video game cutscenes with a few people plopped in the foreground. Milla Jovovich is given nothing to do. I love Dave Bautista, but I think he's given too much to do. It was weirdly nostalgic because it really did feel like a bad film from 20 years ago, and there was some enjoyment to be had from that. Robert gives the movie 2 out of 5 stars. Dana writes, it felt like a mix of Game of Thrones, The Mummy, and Mad Max all rolled into one, and not in a good way. It was one of the most confusing things I've ever seen, and just not enjoyable either. There were not a lot of moments that keep you engaged and focused on the film. The only good thing I can say is that Dave Bautista was in it, and that's really it. The acting wasn't great either, and the characters were also just really annoying. Plus, it just felt rushed. Dana gives the movie 3 out of 5 stars. RK writes, the movie is absolute crap in the best way. Everything is on green screens, the CGI is abysmal, the acting is hysterical. It's all a 40K riff that never lands. And at some point in the movie, you can literally see Milla give up on being a character and default to the Milla Jovovich being cold and kicking butt. And while for some that would be a point against it, there's gotta be boatloads of people that are going to see this purely because they love that stuff. RK gives the movie 3 out of 5 stars. Deck writes, Paul W.S. Anderson only makes movies to give his wife money to play the only character she knows how to play over and over, and she gets worse at it every time. The worst thing about the movie is the slow motion, as it made the movie take longer to finish. Ooh, I felt that nice burn by Deck. It is kind of true. It feels like Paul Anderson is just making movies for his wife to star in as a tough female character. Aiden writes, this movie looks like a game from the Xbox 360. The script and acting is awful, the editing is poor, and the lens flare is egregious. 2000 straight to DVD slop is back, baby. Aiden gives the movie 2.5 stars out of 5. Ryan writes, the movie is full of ugly CGI and obvious green screens that are impossible to miss. The story is so rushed and probably the most fast-paced film to ever exist, period. I thought the cinematography was alright, especially standing out in the action sequences. Dave Bautista is completely innocent along with most of the cast, and he carried this movie pretty much all by himself. Ryan gives the movie 1.5 stars out of 5. Looks like the overall reviews for the movie are largely negative, with common criticisms focusing on its weak characters, nonsensical plot, and poor visual effects, especially this cheap CGI and excessive green screens. While the film's world building and designs are praised for their epic scale, they are undermined by the low quality execution. Acting is also another sore point, with Milla Jovovich being underutilized and Dave Bautista being praised for carrying the film despite its flaws. The average rating seems to be around 2 stars out of 5. This looks like a movie that you might want to catch on streaming on an uneventful Friday. Are you guys planning to watch In the Lost Lands at the theaters? Let me know in the comments.
So, how'd you like my story?
I still don't know how it ends.